metaphorically speaking, talking about the report of the road/train accident that was reported in Lagos, Southwest, where we're talking about a road accident that involved both a train and a BRT bus, and this was at a PWD bus stop off the Old Works Road. People in Lagos would know that, but it's a sad day. According to official reports, they talk about 3 people being dead, 2 men and a woman, and they are working now to free up the roads again. That's such a calamity. We don't have details to give you. That will be upon the experts when they come in. But preliminary reports quoting the permanent secretary in LASEMA, Dr. Femi Okeosanyintolu, he says that was something about the driver of the vehicle trying to beat the the train signal, and then something happened. Whatever it was, the train slammed into the bus and dragged it on for quite a bit. Reportedly, the brakes had been activated from Ikeja, but, the momentum or whatever it was still carried the train right up to that PWD area where this bus made that unfortunate mistake of trying to beat the train signal. But that's just something. We couldn't but talk about that as it had happened. When the experts come around, they'll tell us exactly what is going on. But preliminary reports say that 3 have been reported dead. That's the official position, quoting Dr. Femi Okeosanyintolu. But other people said that they have been told by police sources that there were up to 4. Although maybe I should lay down the line of conversation. We're going to be talking about the 2023 elections and matters arising. One of the things that we didn't know yesterday was that the election we were preparing for on Saturday wasn't going to hold, because that now is the position, that the election has been postponed for a week. So it's no more on the 11th. You put 7 days on top of that, and then you have the 18th of March. That's when the election is now going to be held for a number of reasons. Let's talk about that as we look at matters arising, the 2023 elections, which that presidential election has already been won by the candidate of APC, Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, the suspense is enough to my guest. Honorable Remi Hassan is a special advisor to the Ogun State Governor on Communication. Honorable, as always, you're very welcome.
Thanks once again for having me.
Pleasure, always. And we also have Honorable Adeyinka Ajayi. Honorable Adeyinka Ajayi is a former member of the House of Representatives, Borikwe Odo-Otin. You see, we worked on that, Odo-Otin constituency, because we had to put it down here, complete with the accent marks, so that I don't go and make it something else. Again, Honorable, good morning and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, maybe, first of all, give me your thoughts on the postponement of the election, because very few people saw that coming. Your thoughts?
It was straight out of the thunderbolt, as they say.
Like a bolt out of the blue.
We weren't expecting it, but following legal developments as it was unraveling in the courts, it was not totally unexpected, because INEC had informed the public at different stakeholder forums that it would require some time to reconfigure
the
BVAS machines,
the BVAS machines
for elections. So going into the preparations for the first round of elections 2 weeks ago, they had ample time to configure these machines. But because of the potential of litigation and the court orders obtained by various parties, it was looking very likely that we may not be able to beat that 5-day deadline. And ultimately, we are where we are now. And I guess we all have to live with it.
Yes. Honorable Remy Hassan, is it a good thing or a bad thing? I'm talking about the delay, the unexpected 1 week extra that politicians now have to deal with.
Well, it's both. Because for those who are actively in this political process, in all the parties, 1 day extra means more money to be spent.
And there's precious little of that, unless I got it wrong.
More
I'm
money.
talking about we ordinary people. There was precious little money in sight anyway.
Well, from that perspective, that is another debate entirely that you're trying to raise. But I'm letting you understand that, of course, we understand how heavily capital intensive the political process is. And everyone within the political circle was already waiting for this process to come to a logical conclusion. Lengthening it now means that you need to do more engagement, you need to cover every blade of grass on the political field, you need to get more money to cover media and all sorts. And that may not be a good thing to political players. However, if it is to get the best out of the process, I think it is worth it. So we can wait.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Now, if we, let's look at it. In Osun, there is no governorship election scheduled for either the 11th or the 18th, because Osun is one of those off-season kind of states. When they come to that task, they will address it at the time. Nevertheless, I'll still be asking for some of your thoughts on the whole concept. But APC's candidate, first of all, how do you think he's sitting in the, because there was a time when it was felt that, of course, by the way, the governor, the sitting governor, is the candidate of the APC. There was a time when it was felt that he didn't have any serious opposition to deal with. But then they say 24 hours is a long time in politics.
Correct.
One is hearing that, well, that situation might have changed and maybe everybody is girding their loins for it's not going to be as easy as they might have thought. What do you think about that whole concept?
I remember you and I have had a talk on this before when I told you that the most difficult opposition to deal with is the opposition within. And all of what looks like rumblings in Ogun State politically today element within trying to play anti-party. But the truth of the matter is that if you look at the result of the elections of a fortnight ago, that should give you an idea of where the people stand. And the momentum that we got out of that, all the 3 senatorial seats won by APC, all the 9 House of Reps seats won by APC, we're beginning now to take that going forward. Just yesterday, what was remaining of the late Buruji Kashamu structure politically collapsed into the APC in Ogun State. And that is because what happened on the 25th of February has created a kind of bandwagon that they now want to also join the winning team. And we still expect that now that we have lengthened the time for the election, many more may still join the fray. So why it is that looked like there's, I see it more as pretentious contention. We are positioned to win, but we're not going to allow complacency in any way whatsoever.
Okay, you're not going to take things for granted.
We won't take anything for granted.
This concept, you just heard where, he theorized that following the results of the presidential election, people now begin to realign themselves, everybody loves a winner, that kind of a thing. And so, besides, they see that there might be more political advantage being there. In fact, that whole concept is carrying on elsewhere too. Lagos State has that situation where it is felt by the Labour Party that they're going to leverage on the results for their state, for Lagos State, at that particular event. And that if you go by that, there's no reason why Labour has vowed to take over Lagos, for example. That was just a bit of additional information. But this whole concept of, going by the results of the 25th, can, in your opinion, does politics work like that?
Well, historically, politics does work that way.
You can take one result and, intelligently extrapolate it.
In the history of Nigerian politics and electioneering,
okay,
it's clear that people tend to swing in the direction of the winning party. Having the presidential election first has in the past given advantage and some momentum if you know how to take advantage of it in various states across the country. It is therefore not going to be out of place to expect that the citizens now know who their president will be come May 29. Mm-hmm. Most of the stakeholders and participants in states would want to be in the line or be in the view of the federal government.
Yes.
And it's up to you in your respective states to then take advantage of that situation. I want to just quickly talk about the Lagos experience that you've mentioned. The beauty of democracy is what happened in Lagos on the 25th of February. And all credit to the president-elect, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He has accepted the INEC declaration in Lagos. He's not crying wolf.
No.
Not doing no.
You're talking about
but
being narrowly pipped by LP.
By the Labour Party.
Yes, he has accepted that. And as you are noting, that that's the nature of democracy. It shouldn't cause any problems. Ashwaju did win, in the Southwest generally. But Lagos is one of the states in the Southwest. And there was a narrow pipping of the LP, of Labour Party.
But, the dynamics have changed. The factors that led to the events of the 25th are clear. They're not ambiguous. They're not, you don't need a crystal ball to break it down into various components.
When you say the dynamics have changed, how do you mean?
Leading to that election, for example, there's so many dynamics leading into the previous election. We had a very strong issue of the Christian factor, for example.
There was also the
coming with
additionally the
a Muslim ticket on the APC, and the Labour brandished a Christian ticket. That affected the votes in Lagos. That is not the same going into this governorship election, for example. It's a Christian candidate. So the Christians in Lagos do not have the biases that led to their preference on the presidential ballots. That's just one example.
Okay, that's just one example.
So the dynamics are different.
That we're even talking about a Christian or happens to be held by a person who is a Muslim. That doesn't make it a Muslim ticket or a Christian ticket, does it?
Ethno-religious sentiment in Nigerian politics will take a long time to be de-emphasized. A very, very long time. And those who have held sway politically before have cashed in on it to get victory and hold power. And to that extent, unless and until we get to that point where players begin to de-emphasize, then followers may not have a choice and to toe the line of those that they believe in. Now, taking a cue from what my elder brother has said here, the truth of the matter is that in the context of battles and wars, if you win a battle and you lose the war, it's a major discouragement, and you may not want to battle further, because the likelihood is that what is it for you in it, after all? Now, LP won Lagos, but lost the presidency because it hasn't translated to the dream that they had. The momentum from majority of those who had that, enthusiasm at that time may not be the same again. So there are those voters who may not be as enthusiastic as they were on the 25th. And of course, the dynamics that Honorable Ajayi mentioned as well will also play out. But in all of it, no party will have that kind of defeat that is a ruling party in Lagos and go to sleep. And you can be sure now that in most of the localities where all these results that led to the loss came out, the engagement has become different. And the story has changed. The narrative is more tilting now in favor of the ruling party. The result comes in, that's when we will know how far they've really gone in engaging all these people that are concerned.
Now, you don't have that situation in Ogun State. The situation that you do have, I believe, is apprehension, perhaps, that's my theorizing, on the Adebutu-Akinlade merger.
Sincerely, that is not a problem.
Really?
It's not a problem. The reason why it's not a problem is because Akinlade is a product of the past governor's political structure, who has also gone his way to pitch his tent with the ADC candidate, which tells you that the structure is divided. And you don't take out an incumbent with a collapsed structure. You even need to look for more amalgamation, merger here and there, to strengthen and have any chance. Now, with that kind of, disoriented nature of their group, that makes them, that's why I call them pretentious contenders. They are seeming to contend, but the truth is that they are not in actual contention. But of course, the process will run its course before we will say we have won. But all that needs to be done, we are doing, we have done, we will yet do, even to ensure that victory does not slip out of our hand. It's for us to lose, and we're not willing to lose.
Well, yeah, exactly. That, particularly that point about, look, whatever happened, politicians will have examined it. They would have discerned exactly where the issue or the problem was coming from and would then likely strategize, which doesn't mean that the opposition that is riding on the wave that it is riding on, everything depends on what the issues are. And that's the sense in which perhaps Lagos is different. The issues in contention in Lagos, not all of those issues are really idyllic. When you have political contestations, it might be about ideas, it might be about projects, policies, but it's none of that. It's none of that in the situation that Lagos finds itself in. And it's just gone back to what he said that, ethno-religious aspects of our politics will take some time to shift. You agree with that?
Absolutely. I do agree with that. And it's very clear, again, if you look at the history of our country, that we have increasingly, especially in the Fourth Republic, started to play ethno-religious cards going into elections. It's
that's not a good
not
thing.
good for the polity. It's not the way to go. But unfortunately, that is our reality. And I believe that the kind of experience and the outlook of our incoming president, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I believe that he's going to consciously and deliberately begin to find a way to change the orientation. As they say, there's a gap between policy and the result. I believe that, and I sincerely believe that the incoming president would deliberately begin to initiate policies that would change the orientation, because that is the way to go. It is divisive and it's dangerous for us as a nation.
And I think so too. Most, you know, how do they put it? Right-thinking members of society or public also think so. Because when you look at the election results, I mean, it was in the north that Tinubu really had his ticket handed to him, when you look at it properly. So, I don't know. That, first of all, he's not one of them in that way. We're not talking about the ethnic card in that sense there. He's not one of them in that regard. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter.
As a matter of fact, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu had of the vote in all the geopolitical zones. There is no geopolitical zone where he did not score that, which makes his mandate to have the real national spread that the Constitution intends. Now, the onus is on him, which the Honorable has rightly said, to change the narrative that ethno-religious sentiment, as much as we hold dear to our ethnicity and our religion, shouldn't be the basis for deciding on political matters. It is not helping us. It has set us back a lot, and it will not even add any value to us going forward. And that should be the new chapter that the incoming administration should open.
Indeed, as you say, you said, Asiwaju, you expect as the, well, apart from the president, as the leader in Lagos, he has arrived and intends to work on this. We have seen pictures of him and he has started to move. But I believe I'm getting some information. Yakub, good morning, Mr. Yakub.
Yeah, once again, it's very good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And good morning to your two guys.
Yes, thank you.
To be sincere, once again, I'm very, very happy. You know the kind of happiness you'll be when you voted for someone and then you find out that your candidate won the election. In that declaration, I've been very, very happy personally. Having said that,
you're talking in relation to Asiwaju's victory at the polls.
Exactly. Because it is a very, very difficult fight. Very, very difficult fight. Are you going to talk about the policy that comes at 11 hours that it's difficult for some of us that is follow a virtual Tinubu to campaign our locality? Even though, I always say this, me, George, Reverend Dominic, and all that, we are not even made demand one by one. Although I have opportunity to see him once in 2002.
You've told us that story before.
But, yeah. So basically, I know the kind of person he is. He's a good leader. But some people haven't seen it. And then go and write this thing down, Shifiori. I said it yesterday. Some people that campaign against Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu today, come 4 years coming now, they will be the one champion in re-election. I can tell you for that, because of the kind of development you are going to have. I will say that again, once again, Chief, what is the fault to make us lost in Lagos State? Very small margin. I want to correct one impression, like you said earlier, that it is not totally fault. Both Asiwaju Bola who made it possible for him. We want to talk about Oyo State, we want to talk about Ekiti, we want to talk about Ondo State. What is the margin that he made us lost in Osun? Very small margin as well. And that concern of even us lost in Lagos, especially in Alimosho. Do you know what really happened? I didn't mean that one of the person I love so much, Yayi, Olamileke Yayi, still remain in Lagos. If we can never lose that place. We can never. That is why Ogun State is catching up. It's catching out with Yayi being Ogun State. Let it alone. If Yayi is not in Ogun State, he will remain in Lagos State. We can never lose. That is the truth. And then in Ogun State, I believe the re-election of the incumbent governor, in fact, the help of Olamileke Yayi is going to make it, even though I have my reservation, we that will come from me for local government, we have never seen the kind of development we really need. But I can see, after these 2 times of, possibly Yayi is going to become governor in that state, and then people will see the kind of person he is. Thank you, God bless you, sir.
Thank you very much. Well, since you stayed a bit in Ogun State, I'm sure Honorable Remy Hassan has 1 or 2 things to say.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yakub, you called his
Yakub.
name? Okay. He talked about
Calling in from Dokwemu.
E4 local
That's
government.
his local government, which he says he hasn't seen anything, but nevertheless, it's
You know,
still...
E4 is one of the very large local government that we have. And as a matter of fact, they have the longest stretch on our borderline with Lagos. As a matter of fact, the traditional E4 people are a lot far off from those residents along the border areas. So when certain developments are going on in either part of those two constituencies, because Ifo has two constituencies, the traditional Ifo people and those who are on the border areas, you may not appreciate what is going on either side, depending on where he resides anyway. Now, the matter is this. In Ifo local government today, we have 4 roads projects, and 2 are already completed. As a matter of fact, the biggest inherited road project is in that local government, which is the Songo Ojodu Road. That road is costing the state almost 100% of its capital, entire capital project. But of course,
And it's been left outstanding like
we
forever.
are thinking out of the box to fund it, because if we do traditional budgeting to fund that, there will be no budget again. However, some of our contractors who have done business with the state are willing to put their money down to fund that project. And that's why if you go there now, out of the 32-kilometer stretch, about 15 have been tarred on one side so that it will be made passable for the residents there. If he has not seen that, I will appreciate if he can take a stroll there and just appreciate what we have done. Vespa Road in Ifo has been done. The single stretch along the Lagos-Abeokuta dual carriageway, which is about 800 meters that collapsed completely, has been completely re-asphalted now to make it passable. There's another road that I can't remember the name, in the same Ifo local government. The challenge with governance in Nigeria is that infrastructural deficit has widened so much that even when incumbent administrations are doing a lot, it's like a drop in the ocean,
so to speak. I'm sorry, because I've been holding on to Alex, calling in from Orile. Good morning, Mr. Alex.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. Go ahead, please. Good morning, sir.
I greet you all on the TV set.
Thank you.
Sir, the problem...
Yes.
Lagos is working. Lagos has the best, in terms of infrastructure, Lagos has one of the best infrastructures. But the problem of Lagos is this. That little thing that is bringing the government down, the government is not doing anything about it. People are talking, you guys are talking about Muslim tickets. It's not all about that. It's just that little thing. If they can even do it between now and next week, no party will be able to compete with APC. That is Agbero.
If I understand you, are you saying that what happened in Lagos is an internal political party problem? Is that what you're saying? That the situation... Oh, you took him off.
I got a bit of what he was trying to say. He is trying to throw up the narrative of feedback mechanism, the distance and the disconnect between the governed and those who are governing.
And those who are governing.
If that can be breached, the narrative will change.
Let's continue on this idea when we come back. We'll take a quick break now. Please stay with us. We'll continue the conversation and, of course, take your calls.
It's the most visited state in Africa, as the 5th largest economy on the continent. Covering Lagos and its government is no mean feat. It's a busy beat. We go beyond the cutting of tapes to traveling.
I want to thank the Lagos State government for the healthcare facility.
To bring stories that cut across all spectrums.
A greater Lagos shall be ours.
stories that define our collective well-being. As Lagosians, I'm Adedoja Salamadeni. I live in Lagos, inside Lagos.
Information is power, information is security, information is knowledge. On Labor Lens, we believe that working people around the world have real questions of their own. They want to know how the world of work operates, what it means to the employer of labor, how policies affect workers in the workplace. On Labor Lens, I ensure we engage effectively organized labor, organized private sector, and governments to get out of them information workers are in need of. I am Sharon Ijason, asking questions that make you get sense of the workplace.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked, and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty, erected for a century of a century.
Okay, welcome back. We still have our discussants. Honorable Remi Hassan of APC, he's special advisor to the Ogun State government, and also of APC's Honorable Adeyinka Ajayi. He is a former member of the House of Representatives in the Oduotin constituency. Actually, it's Boripe Oduotin constituency. And just before we went on that break, Alex had called in, I believe it was, from Orile, and he had, sort of worked out, at least it's his position, that what happened in Lagos, for example, we're talking about, matters arising from the 2023 election. What happened in Lagos, according to Alex, who had called in, was that it's really an internal matter. And he didn't finish, unfortunately, before he didn't have that connection anymore. But when we came back in studio here, it was thought that he was talking about a distance between, could you just go over that bit a bit?
Trying to bridge the gap between the governed and the government so that the feedback can come in without anyone adding or deleting.
So that you know exactly what the lie of the ground is politically.
In Ogun State, for example, because we learn a lot of things from Lagos, and it's not going to be a bad idea if they also learn one or two things from us. There is an office of a governor liaison officer that covers beyond the local government chairman, beyond the cabinet members, beyond the secretary to government, beyond even the deputy governor, and report directly to the governor. These things that are happening within their various local government, so that a stitch in time will truly save nine.
Do you? I saw that you were nodding to most of that. Does that mean you're on the same page?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because I remember in the not too distant past, we in Oshun had government liaison officers, at local government level who report.
Which is not the same thing as a special advisor.
No, it's not.
It's okay.
It's these are like just like Honorable Remi Hassan has mentioned, they're like informants, as it were.
Just so that the governor is has a better view of the lie of the ground. Never mind what the newspapers are saying. Never mind what people are feeding him. These are people that are supposed to be giving the head, the governor in this case.
Yes. What it does is it gives the governor raw information, unprocessed. If the information about health situation comes through the Commissioner of Health, it will be processed. If there's an environmental issue comes through, it will be processed.
Exactly.
These people are supposed to give raw.
And do you think that was missing in Lagos for a while? Because people, assumed that Lagos being what it is, many Lagosians would have been surprised.
If it's missing, it then means that it has to be put.
And they have to quickly address that.
Exactly.
Because this kind of a thing, ordinarily, it shouldn't have happened. It's the surprise part of it that I mean. It's like they would have known. What we're saying is that the mechanism, they would have known that it's likely to come here.
Well
but
ahead of time.
I'm guessing, beg your pardon.
I said they would have known well ahead of time
that this, but I'm suspecting that this thing surprised everybody, whether governor or no governor, whether liaison or no liaison. I think it surprised everybody, and that's the sense in which some people are actually angrily alleging in Lagos.
Let me say something, Uncle Yori. If you have been used to winning, you have always won. You have never had any reason to lose. You are the best candidate for complacency. So even when those noises were coming, I guess someone somewhere just decided to play this thing towards it. And that's the result. But thank God that it was a battle that was lost, the war was won. So let this next stage is another opportunity to correct those wrongs and reposition Lagos for a stronger APC.
I mean, the beauty of it all is that we have a candidate that is sellable. We have a candidate that we can market. The developmental strides in Lagos are evident. But if you have a disconnect between what you're doing and the people whose behalf or on their behalf you are working, there is obviously going to be a gap in the middle that propaganda can fill.
Yeah. I get what you're saying, but excuse me, I'm going to have to break away for a moment because our Sarah Ayeko is at the site of the, train bus mishap, and we'll cut to her now. There you go. That's Sarah. Good morning, Sarah. Yori Folani in studio. Good morning, Sarah. If you can hear me, tell us what is on the ground there, please.
Yes, good morning, Yori. So what we see, so right now we understand that emergency responders have been able to clear out the BRT truck, the BRT bus that was stuck on the train track, and also they've been able to move the train involved in this incident. But according to eyewitnesses, what we understand is that this incident happened at about 7:30 a.m. That's this morning. A bus was a collision here at this intersection, which is where you have vehicles using the intersection to just around along Ikeja, along PWD Shogunle area of Lagos. And so just at this intersection, this was where the incident happened. It pulled the bus all the way down the train track. If you take a look at the train, at the track, you would see the screeching, you would literally feel what went wrong here at the spot. The screeching of the tires of the train, the marks are on the tracks. You'd see it there, and even around this area, you'd see some parts of the bus, scraps of the bus, still around the incident scene. Although the persons that were involved in this incident have been taken to the hospital, we understand that 84 persons were rescued. 84 persons were rescued from the bus. And another thing, sadly, is that 3 persons were adult females and 1 male were recovered dead from this incident. Emergency responders have also taken these 84 persons, giving them first aid treatment on the spot, and then taking them to Lasus in Ikeja to get further treatment. So we're expecting to see the governor and some of the government officials visit the scene and also visit the hospital to talk to some of the patients there, because it's very particular for us to note that the persons in this bus are Lagos State government staff. So they're persons close to the heart of the governor, persons that the governor would have interfaced with at some point while as governor of Lagos State. And so of course, we're expecting to see that the governor would probably visit the hospital, visit the scene, and of course, persons that have lost their lives in this.
Technical people to give us an idea as to what exactly happened. As the wheels there, you could see, as you were saying, where there seemed to be a sort of a screeching. You can imagine that. But I imagine we don't want to offer any kind of thoughts on that until the experts tell us exactly what happened, because there are all sorts of stories going around, and so we have to get experts. Some tell us that the brakes are magnetic, whatever that means. You activate the brakes at one place, the brakes won't actually, even though they're activated, they won't actually, be operational or effective until many meters later, which seems to be the kind of thing you were talking about, having the brakes haven't been activated from around the Ikeja, and it took. Yeah, go ahead, please. Go, please.
Yes, if I would cut in, around this area, which is just the
I'm waiting to see if we can get her back. It sort of dropped. She was just going to explain. But I don't know, Sarah, if you're still there, even without the picture, could you continue, please? I'm hearing that she might not be there anymore. But really, at this moment, we can't take more than that. We just got that the governor is expected there, maybe other officials. But we did get from Dr. Olufemi Damilole Okeosoyintolu, the permanent secretary at LASEMA. These people have been the recovery team. The reason why you don't see the wreckage of the bus and the train there is that they actually have lifted those. The videos exist, but they've lifted those with all the heavy equipment that Lagos State has. So it doesn't look as if anything happened there, and I guess that's their job. So I'll just say our thanks to Sarah, even though she seems to have dropped a bit out of, our connection. But thanks to Sarah Ayeku, who is there, and no doubt there'll be updates on that as we go along the rest of the day. Okay, back to our studio, and what we're talking about now, the matters arising from this.
Buhari, before you proceed, on behalf of His Excellency, the Governor of Ogun State, our heart goes out to the victims of this train disaster that just happened, and to Governor Sanwo-Olu, from your brother Governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, please accept our condolences. To all the families of those who have lost their lives, we also say, please accept our condolences.
Indeed. These commiserations are very much. So, as you're saying, going back, we were looking at the fact that, well, if you want to call it a battle, we're talking about the battle and a war, and losing the battle and winning the war, and what is needful now is for people to really go back to the beginning, I imagine, on the part of those who feel that they were shocked by this. And it remains to be seen if this can be effectively done, because certainly Labour Party is, really, as it were, in a victorious mode, and they think that it's a foregone conclusion. Yesterday night, for whatever reason that it was done in the night, there was a rally in the night of Labour Party. The pictures of that exist, where they were quite exuberant and confident that they'll be taking over Lagos. There's no taking over Lagos, and it's like boxers. When when boxers square up, before they even get into the ring, there's also psyching. But one of the psyching that LP is doing right now is that we're taking over Lagos. It's going to be us, and it remains to be seen if the ruling party in Lagos, APC, is going to just roll over and die, as it were, or if they.
Well, okay, I don't know. I think really the issues are beginning to become very clear. I was mentioning the fact earlier that we do have a sellable candidate. We have a history of performance. The disconnect has been clearly pointed out. You have arrogance in the audacity of hope, and everybody's entitled.
I like that. There can be arrogance in the audacity of hope.
Yes. It's a time for sober reflection. What has happened in the recent times in Nigeria. And I'm happy that the president-elect made mention of that fact when he said clearly, the youth of Nigeria, I hear you.
All right. Sorry to interrupt you. Let me go to Mr. George, who has called in from Ikeja. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. Good morning to your guests.
Yes, thank you.
Uncle Yori, I want to sympathize with the victims of that train incident. It's really sad. And I hope the Lagos State government ticketed gadgets. In the past, they used to put a gate where there's level crossing. When the train is coming, they will lock the gate and the cars will wait behind. Maybe things like that should be introduced so as not to put people's lives in danger, especially these electric trains that are that are coming up in Lagos. This type, as it may, Uncle Yori, this issue of elections, I think the president in waiting needs to do something about ethno-religious politics in Nigeria. It is not very, very good, Uncle Yori. Let me just give you a hint of how serious it is. Before the presidential election, I gave myself a pet project that I'm going to talk to 1,000 Nigerians across this country that I know to convince them to vote for my candidate. You know that one woman came to me that I talked to. She said, please, sir, I'm not going to be able to do what you said. Or my pastor said that if I vote for anybody other than the one the pastor has recommended, that her first child is going to die. That she doesn't want her first child to die.
So all that kind of thing is going on?
Yes.
And this is to be decried?
Yes. And many of them believe those threats, believe those recommendations. The National Orientation Agency has not really been what it should be. I hope in this coming dispensation, the government must awaken that organization and let it come to the fore in reorientating Nigerians' mind.
Okay, Mr. George, we're going to have to leave it there. I beg your pardon, but thank you very much. End up in studio. Thank you very much, Mr. George, for calling in. There's still a lot more work to be done. We're also grappling with a sudden, well, yeah, I suppose it is sudden, a sudden postponement of the election. Honorable Remy has said that elections are humongously capital intensive. This is going to be very, very expensive, but this is one of those kind of situations where, yeah, we recognize that, but still people are going to find the wherewithal to go into it because it's like you can't get off this train until it gets to the station. Mm-hmm. And the station is that the elections are being conducted and the results are being announced. Mm-hmm. But the other thing I noticed, talking about matters arising from this election, as you know, Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu's lawyers have applied to grant access to sensitive documents, which was also done before by the other opponents, who, by the way, it is known, haven't congratulated him yet, as we expect that this kind of thing should happen in politics, but it's because of their grievances. Well, we look at all of that. What do you think about that? Because now everybody is scrutinizing the documents. BVAS is going to be reconfigured. There are those who are not happy about that. There are those who are saying there's no way around it. They have to be reconfigured. What do you think? All sorts of people are commenting on our matter in Nigeria. They have observed that this is the election since the return of democracy that has had the smallest number of voters, that is who has won with the smallest. ever since.
I think INEC needs to devise a means to clean up the voters' register. What is the modality for getting dead people off that register? What is the modality for getting ghost people off that register? Because it's the build-up of the same register that has been since 1999 to date that we are consolidating on. How many are we really? Maybe when we do the census this year, we'll be able to know. So we cannot even begin to posit concerning the turnout if the facts are not known about how many truly we are in terms of number of voters.
Indeed. You probably might have seen or read that what's the British Institute of Strategic Studies and Chatham House. Chatham House. They've put out a highly critical summation from their point of view of how it went. Everybody comes in on our matter, you know. That is what it is. I suppose it's the price of being big. They've not been very, no, we don't need to be flattered, but they've been highly critical of it. But nevertheless, we have a president-elect on our hands that has won that election. He has, his certificate of returns have been given. We're not saying that that is what Nigerians would want willy-nilly, but that they just want to get that. But it is the state of affairs. It doesn't matter what Chatham House says. It doesn't matter what they can. Comments are free. The Financial Times also did its own. You know, remember? Everybody's doing it. So what do you think is, in the midst of all of this, just very, very briefly, maybe no more than one or two sentences, how should we be, you know, positioning ourselves with all these hostile reviews that we're getting?
Well, for me, I believe that our elections have come. It's in the process of winding up. By winding up, I mean that the process ends when we come back from the courts. And after the courts have taken a decision, the president, at that point, has his work cut out.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. Your thoughts on this whole matter about getting hostile reviews, negative reviews?
I will wish that INEC on its own reduces the tendency for them to be perceived as a biased umpire. There's nothing wrong in having separate beavers machines for the two circles of election, so that you don't need to reconfigure one, especially when issues like this
exactly.
And for us as a state, even though we haven't paid, we will say vote APC in the next election to have victory, be part of that victory party.
Okay, and as you said, INEC wants to get it where they're able to observe that INEC, you know, according to them, the harsh critics, didn't even obey its own rules, you know, and they're talking here about the instantaneous uploading, transparency, and all of that. There might be reasons, we'll talk about those at a subsequent program, but I want to thank you.
I think we need a little
yes, I want to thank you very much, Honorable Remi Hassan, for coming all the way to Lagos, but then, you know, between us and Ogun here.
Why not for the traffic? It's a smooth ride.
Exactly. And thank you very much, Honorable Adeyinka Ajayi, as well, for coming on the program. That's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.